real quick, you mentioned, okay, so you're saying maybe a more holistic approach to the way we go forward. Is that possible? Does anyone want to take that on? Is that possible in the St. Louis region specifically?
Well, I see examples of that. I mean, just yesterday was the first of a number of public meetings on the governor's comprehensive state energy plan going forward. These are going to be all over the state, and it's focused on energy, but this comment I made earlier about the water energy nexus, that is one session of those several meetings in October. And it's all about how water impacts energy and how energy impacts water. So I mean, that's the beginning of a conversation around this integration of different utilities.
I think it takes a new kind of education. I'm sorry, a new kind of education. Where engineers need to be talking to developers, private developers, and need to be talking to community residents. Right? There needs to be a way in which these different silos that people. It's not just a thing. The water. It's part of the community. So it's a part of economic development. The economic developers need to be talking about the people who are working on the water system. So we have these these silos, these bureaucratic entities. We have these government agencies, and I sense that there is a real desire here, especially among young people, to break out of those silos and to think more holistically. It's going to be difficult though, because we're literally trained in our professions. And frankly, a lot of the kudos come from doing well in our own specialization, right? But we need to break out of that, and it requires people who are able to think more flexibly and think outside of just one paradigm. And it's absolutely necessary, because if you just think of one thing at a time, you're going to make mistakes, right? It's not going to work. And that's part of the problem in the earlier way it was done, right? It was thought of as a kind of a scientific management approach.
Absolutely, it was scientific and management, but the issues were real too. And I don't think we should.
Yeah, I understand.
The provision of clean water is essential,
right.
And I don't think anything we're talking about would compromise that. If you look at, for instance, New York after Sandy, their water was up and running before any other city in that area. The sole reason, Catskills Mountain watershed was protected. They got their water supply from that. So when we talk green infrastructure, we are talking about the importance of clean water, making sure everyone has it in an egalitarian way. But it's also taking it a little bit further, which is the model I think actually MSD has the opportunity, is about to spend all this money in terms of rethinking. How can that $5 billion result in X times that in private reinvestment? That's kind of the issue, because the private sector makes our cities, the public sector makes our common good, our common armatures. Water is one of those.
I was just going to say, when you talked about teaching and changing the way we teach things, I obviously work at St. Louis University and our civil engineering department, and we have really tried to integrate sustainability into our curriculum, and several of our students have a lot of interest in sustainability. I work with our seniors now, and several of the senior design projects are related to sustainability on campus, sustainable buildings. So I really think there will be this generational element to this sort of mind change, this paradigm shift with the new generations that will help facilitate this type of transition.
I think at St. Louis University, resolving our combined sewer issue, we talked about green infrastructure. It's a big part of what we're doing. Half of our CSO problem is just getting resolved with green infrastructure. To the point of giving grants, there is one at St. Louis University where the senior class took a grant and built green infrastructure to help us meet our goals of cleaning the water of the environment. And they got something out of it. And I think the more demonstration, the more you see it. As we put green infrastructure throughout the city, it's great to see the alderman next door say, when do I get mine? Yeah. I mean, it's a sense that people are starting to understand what it is. It's a benefit. Somebody mentioned Great Rivers Greenway. We found a great nexus between what we're doing and Great Rivers Greenway does, because you're finding the natural corridors where that green, and in our purpose here, where that green infrastructure needs to be in place, where you can bring things back to nature. And it starts building itself, and people start appreciating, and people start clamoring for it and wanting it.
Comes out from underground where it's not visible, so to speak, and that relationship.
They want to come out and see the butterflies landing on the rain gardens, and it's a wonderful thing.